Not ready.
Yes,
I was told you were ready.
Depends on whose definition of ready we're on.
Yes, he does. He's old enough.
You want to drive?
But I will.
You want me to drive?
I kind of feel like
I think you should be in the driver's seat.
me.
If you're showing them,
Well, I guess.
shouldn't you?
I mean, I am the expert. It's scary. Okay.
So
class.
if you might want to take notes unless you've got a great memory.
To be honest, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be exactly showing them.
Number one, you need to show them how to open the app.
Okay, so you open the app. So where?
Docs on the left in this computer.
Okay, so it looks like this right here. This AU Audition. It's like exactly what you think it is. It's AU. That's it. So you click on that. It opens to here. This is the screen that you'll first see. And then for me, while I'm using this, I just go to multi-track, and it's going to ask you to name your session. So I usually just,
He's on to creating a new project, people. Okay.
Yeah,
Step
new
two.
project. Oh yeah, that's step 2. Yep. And then so step 3 would be, name the thing. So I'm just going to say project. Boom. And then here you go. This is the screen that you'll be working from here. I don't think there's a microphone plugged in.
Oh yeah, there is.
Oh, there is?
See it on the desk right
There's
there.
an audio interface too.
Whoa, okay, I don't have any of this, so I'm not really that familiar, but
So you show your stuff and Tom will do his stuff.
oh, okay, so my stuff I have at my house, which is where I use this. I just have a USB mic, so it would be in here. You'd click that, and whoa, what's happening? Oh, and then to record, you got to arm it to record.
So that's how to arm to record.
The little R. It's the same thing on Pro Tools.
So once the R is red, it's armed to record.
Yes.
Red to record.
And unlike in Pro Tools, oh, there you go. Yeah.
Big R. Arm to
R.
record.
And then unlike in Pro Tools, when you want to record, you just click record, and it goes. You don't press play. You just click record.
Is there a delay button?
It would record. Is there a delay button?
Yeah, I see like your clicks there before you start recording, so it's automatically recording.
You can trim the beginning if you want.
You can trim the beginning. I don't know if there's a delay button. Add a specific delay to it.
So do you have to record your voice and then the track, or can you do it over the track at the same time?
Very good question. Next thing on my list is how to import music. There's some files on the desktop.
Okay. Okay. So, the other one.
To import, file import, or
Oh,
double click
yeah,
on your
right.
project window there to get the file import to bring up. If you've
Okay.
used Premiere, it's the same.
I pretty much usually just drag the file.
That
in.
works too. There's a file here. You can drag it to the left.
Yeah. So yeah, it just goes right on, and it's what's that say? The sample version.
Probably because it's armed to record.
Oh yeah. Oh. Well. Oh. There it is. Music.
Oh, that's a sound effect. That's why.
Oh, sound effect. That's what it is. So that's why it's so short.
So
Okay.
Jet, Fly by Fire. Okay.
Thought that was the name of a song by the band Jet.
I wish.
So yeah. I don't know, man. Okay, so there's tools you can use.
Okay, so the sound effect and you can do your voice, right?
Yeah, so you can record it while. Yeah, so if it's at the beginning, you have the sound effect in there, and then if you press record, you will. So I would be talking right now, but I wouldn't probably be talking so
It will record our voice while he's playing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will do
Which is
that.
why you'd have to have headphones on.
Yes, because otherwise it'll pick up the.
Oh, we gotta hand
So
it-
this is not an ideal recording setup because I set the speakers up so you can hear us, but that's bad for recording at the moment.
So if you drop in the sound effect on the first track, our voice, do we activate the R for the second track?
Yeah,
He hasn't gotten to the voice part.
Okay.
So if this is going to be our voice track here, then you would choose your microphone here because it's pointing in. There's an arrow that's pointing in. And then you choose your mic, and then arm that track. Well, obviously, whatever track your microphone's put in, that's what you would arm. And then, whoa. Hello, testing.
Hold on. Duet mono front left.
Do you have a question? By the way, what's that?
So like, I was trying to edit the other day music,
Yep.
and I was trying to figure out, is there a way to zoom in on the file?
Yeah. So you. Yeah. What do you just?
So Carlos, you already know how to use this?
Oh, yeah. That slide bar.
So at the top, Jorge, there's a slider. So this represents the entire length of your project, right? We have the short. Let me zoom in here. We have the short green bar, which represents the sound effect on our first track, the short one. And then the long blue bar, which is a piece of music, which runs all the way to the end here. Okay? And then to be able to zoom in on your timeline, you just grab the end of this. It's like highlighting in Microsoft Word. You grab this, and then it controls, let me zoom out so you can see the effect. It controls how much of your project you see.
There's no way to like zoom in even further?
I mean, how close do you want to go? That's looking at the waveform as individual lines. That's as close as it gets.
That's like a second and a half right there.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, what are you saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So I don't know if you would need to go much further in than that, but if you had a specific problem where you did, what was the issue?
Well, because like when I'm trying to highlight a certain word,
Uh-huh.
I was having trouble like zooming in and playing back just that portion.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You know what? Honestly, I've never come across that problem because I've never done that.
Okay.
What do you think, Tom?
Well, so this is probably closer than you need to be to identify a word. I should have some voiceover here.
Roger Turcotte.
Yep. Okay, so we'll throw in some voiceover. On that off. Mute, mute. So you want to identify an individual word.
Roger Turcotte and Company, LL.
Company and LLC. So right here, this is the break between two words. If you need to know how to cut, there's a razor blade tool at the top. So it looks like this, just like in Premiere. Okay. You can cut it here and here. And now that one chunk is just one word.
Company, L.
Or a short phrase.
Company, LLs. Provides.
So that was it.
And then he can trim it from there.
I can trim it. I could split that out if I need. So if I switch back to this tool here, if I don't want the first part and I don't want the part after it, then I have just that word.
Company.
Money. How do I get it to just play back that portion instead of like continuing to play the rest of the track?
That's a good question.
I was just getting ready to ask.
I am not an Audition expert, so I don't know how to enable the looping feature, but I suppose that is something we could look up in the help menu. So we can probably loop inside one of these areas here. Right click and say loop. Although it started outside the loop, so that's not that helpful.
You have to highlight just that word.
I did.
Company.
Yep. We will look up that answer together. Something for you to find out and report back next week.
Cody, your hand was
Other questions?
Cody?
I was just, my question was gonna be, we just were wondering, the other day we were recording, how you can go in and adjust the levels of the sound on the different tracks. We just were having trouble looking for the button.
So,
Talking about volume?
Yes.
Okay, there are two lines associated with each track. If you hover over each one, it will tell you what it is eventually. Come on.
yeah, I don't know why.
The blue one is pan, the yellow one is volume, and maybe if I kill the highlighter, it'll show us. No, those are disabled.
You click on those little
There's
boxes.
also that little wheel on the left.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to do it.
I like doing it on the line because you can choose
Okay.
like exactly the point.
So if you hover over it, it says volume and then pan. So then you can hover over any one of these, add a point or two, and pull it up if you need.
Okay.
Did you just add that what's it called, the little triangle things again?
Yeah,
Just by clicking. It added it automatically.
You don't have to hit control or command.
Nope.
And click it, like
Yep.
right on the line.
So it's just like how it's this kind of like when you're using
Yes, keyframes just like in Premiere.
Keyframes or something.
The other way to do it would be here, boost the gain, but there are better controls for that. I'll show you mixing view in a moment.
You have a question, Josh?
That's what I was saying,
Oh,
you could do it from that view on the left.
He was gonna help out with the hint, huh?
Gotcha. Is this preferred, instead of using like Pro Tools?
And here's what's up, and Jorge just asked about that. Our subscription to Pro Tools expired, all right? So that it won't expire during the semester again. We're not renewing it until June, all right? So in June, we'll renew it, and then it won't expire like it did this semester in the middle of the semester. So we're just gonna sort of use Audition for the rest of the semester, then we'll be back to Pro Tools. Is that correct, Tom?
I'm just here to help.
Yeah, that's not like an executive.
For me personally, I have Audition on my computer, so I'm like a little bit more comfortable with it, like just kind of messing around with it. I haven't noticed any kind of difference in quality, when I've done stuff here or when I've done stuff at home. So, I think it would just come down to a personal preference, unless you guys have a preference.
Yeah, I have a preference. My preference is you know how to use both, because on almost all commercial radio stations they use Pro Tools, but they also use this. All right. So I think it's important that you have a familiarity with Pro Tools, you know how to do some things in Pro Tools, because this happens if you interview for a job. They'll say, okay, go in the production studio. You've got 20 minutes to cut a commercial doing this, this, and that, using Pro Tools. That's part of the interview process. So I want you to be able to know how to use it, right? For simplicity, this is way better, way easier, all right? Yes.
I do have something to say. I would hope that you learn the general concepts that are applicable to all DAWs, digital audio workstations, because the same way you draw a fade in here in Audition is hopefully very similar to the way you do it in Pro Tools and the way you would do it in Audacity, the way you would do it in Premiere, Final Cut Pro, and Avid. Okay? So, focusing on things that are transferable.
Skills across platforms.
Because if you go to interview and the only thing you know is Pro Tools and that radio station is using Audition, then I don't want you to be out of luck. Okay, so we went over creating a new project, right? File, new, they call them multi-track sessions. Okay? Everybody clear on that part?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, we went over importing. 3 ways to do that. What's one of the ways? Think about Adobe Premiere. Transferable skills. Double click, brings up the import. That's
double click on.
the project window. That's true of all Adobe interfaces. So they
that's
have
the
this
project
project window here. Okay? What's another way to do it? File import. Keyboard shortcut for that is? Import? Command I. Okay? The other way to do it, the Alex Erdman way,
The drag and drop.
drag and drop it. Okay, so you can import music into it. It'll take care of the conversion for you. You can import any audio format your computer can play, except for those weird protected iTunes files. All right, add a track. Are you guys comfortable with the track management here?
Yes.
When you create the new session, you get something like 8 tracks, which is honestly bigger than what you'll probably need. You can increase the size of these by scrolling up or down on this interface to see more or less of your information. Also, like the scroll bar at the top that lets you zoom in, you also have a scroll bar here which functions the same way. Zoom in, and if you want to see the bottom tracks, you can do that, or the top tracks. Will?
What's a faster way to get the playhead back to the beginning? You know, like in Premiere, you can do Shift I. Like I have to find it and then drag the playhead back.
So I kept hitting home and it didn't seem to want to go back to the beginning either. I don't know the answer to that. Good question.
Typically, I'll just click like right here and then it'll bring it back. But sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, I know. I haven't figured that out.
And sometimes I have to go find the track. You have to do both of them separately now. So that's kind of frustrating.
Buddy,
Nope.
Buddy.
Okay. So we went over arming a track to record. How would I do that, Jesus? Hands up. Okay. Great.
I was gonna say, shouldn't you press insert to go back to the beginning?
Well, I'm on a laptop, so I only have return. I tried return and I tried home. I didn't try enter on the full extended keyboard. Okay, so what does this icon here do? Very good. This one?
So,
All right.
What's that?
It mutes all the other tracks except for that one.
Oh, automatically.
So I want to hear only this one
Gotcha.
for
So we
listening.
got 15 tracks, rather than mute all the other ones, just solo that one.
Okay, so recording. When you have an audio interface, say like the Duet, which is the same ones we use in the studio, you can choose an input for that. And let me zoom out on my screen. So here, let's say we wanted to arm to record on track 4. You're going to go in here, pick your sources. So this, we go from none, which would be an audio file, to the Duet supports mono audio sources. So we're going to do mono left, which is hopefully that left input, although I might have to restart the program to get it to pick it up. And then if we hit record, hopefully we get something from the microphone. Yeah, all right. So
You just activate that stuff. All that mono.
we'll relaunch the program.
Did you plug it in while it was?
Yeah, I think I might have. Where's my open recent? You call it project?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now it's showing the levels from the source. Okay, so this is my microphone and here are my levels. When I hit record, KCRH, the East Bay's best variety. I should probably turn that down a bunch, but you see that you can get the sound in there, and if you adjust your sound beforehand, you won't be clipping. Okay, so at the end, that's probably still a little bit low, but the levels look all right on the input.
And how do they adjust the sound, the levels?
Same way you would for Pro Tools using the Duet hardware interface.
I don't know how to use Pro Tools.
Did you ever record in the radio station using one of the Duet interfaces?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I never got to say it.
on the Duet interface, everybody, and these are on every computer, there's a series of 4 icons at the
Alex,
top.
The lights.
It's definitely one of these.
We might be able to show you it here.
You were doing before all that when you were mono. I didn't know what you were doing.
That's the wrong one. This one.
That helped.
We'll see. There we go. Okay, perhaps. So here across the top we have mic input 1, input 2, and our output.
Can you zoom in a little? It's so hard to see right now.
I've never used this thing in my life, Chad.
Oh, this.
That's more.
Okay, so although this will not be part of the presentation, I apologize. Microphone input 1, microphone input 2, your mix output, and then your headphones. Headphones are monitored on the front, headphone jack, and then on the breakout cable you have 2 gigantic, there's the other gigantic one, those are your XLR. And so that's your input. They say in 1 and in 2. That's left and right as Audition will see it. And then you have 2 quarter-inch outputs. These are your outputs for left and right. Out L and out R. Okay, so these are all wired up. These connect over USB. In order to change anything on your Duet interface, you're going to have to tap so that the icon at the top that you want to adjust is highlighted, right? Via your output via headphones, your input on mic 1, mic 2, or the output volume for the speakers. When you get the one you want, then you can spin the adjustment to change the volume. Okay? That's how to adjust the levels of your interface before they go into the computer.
What were you doing before you went to mono and everything? What were you doing?
I was
I'm talking about
on which device? On the software?
Audition, on the software. Yeah.
Okay, so switching back to the software here, maybe. So here, come
There we
on.
go.
There it is.
Okay, so here, when I was picking my input, right? So you pick your input setup for that track, and this is a mono source, and then that's because that's one that's left. Jorge.
So you wouldn't want to go stereo, you want to stick to mono?
Well, the microphones are mono, so keep them as separate.
Pretty much just matching up from
I was
here.
gonna ask the same thing. I was wondering if it made a big difference.
It doesn't. But I don't know of an input source that would be. I mean, you can get stereo microphones. We don't have any.
I'm just amazed that I've seen that thing there this whole entire time, and I only knew how to change the volume of the mic. I didn't know you could click it and it did other things.
Yeah.
So, 'cause I saw that little device and I used to plug my headphones in, and most of the time I just adjusted the levels like the other way, where we went in there. I didn't even like. It wasn't until we went into the library studio that I knew how to like adjust my physical levels on just the.
You should always have your input as hot as you want it to be when it records. That gives you the most amount of information. If we look at just the signal here, although at the top of this, see where the wave flattens out at the top? That is really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, that means I sent a signal into the computer that was too loud. It recorded as loud as it could, and it can't record any more information than that. That's called clipping. When you play it back, it sounds like a pop, sometimes like a hiss, sometimes you get a tone. It depends on what it did. But that's really bad. Over here, so this section is recorded a little bit better, although I clipped down at the bottom too. So.
Now you recommend playing just doing your.
So you'll need to do a check on this, and when you talk into it, let me switch back. So when you talk into your interface, make sure it's on, and then you want to adjust the volume. Am I on in one? I am on in one, and I am not getting a very high level, so I keep turning that up until I get the level I want for the performance without going in red. So something like that. Sorry.
You said level you want to go on pretty much right to the
top without going into red at all. So
kind of like in a TV.
So trying to be like
right, you want to be in the bottom of yellow, and that's going to give you the best recorded level. Then you have a lot of room in post-production to either adjust that louder or softer as your performance and final product needs. If you record it really low, you have to bring up a whole bunch of noise to make yourself louder after the fact.
Yeah, that was the problem I had. Was it was always too low when I recorded it. So when I did bring up the noise, Chad would be like, "There sounds like it's a little distorted, or it sounds like there's something in the background that you hear because you can hear it's either the air conditioning,
Yep.
or whatever." Because I'm bringing it up so high at this point because it's so low. I didn't even know that thing clicked to do more.
So when you bring up low levels, you bring up everything, including all the bad things that you didn't want to hear. Okay? But compressor limiters can help with that because when you're quiet, they cut the sound down a whole lot. All right, we went over recording. We recorded trimming, so razor blade tool, but then you can also cut from either end of a clip, similar to the ripple delete in Premiere. So, oh yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
So when you get an icon like this at the end of or at the beginning of your timeline, you can then drag that in and cut off anything from the end of it. Okay?
You can also use that if you've cut one at the wrong spot. You can like stretch it out and see it.
Yep.
Is there a ripple delete?
Ripple delete like the traditional ripple delete in Premiere? No, there's not.
You
All right,
have to connect it.
you do. So fading and crossfading. So you can draw in your own volume automation. You already saw a bit of that. So if I wanted to have this drawn in, faded out, that is a fade right there. Are we already over time?
No.
Okay. Sorry I'm not that interesting, Zaina. Okay, so that is one way you can draw in by hand with keyframes those transitions. If you prefer, there's an easier way, and this is similar to Final Cut and Premiere. You can drag this transition icon and it'll draw in the fades for you, and it automatically changes the curve based on how far you do it.
That you have to link the
Or
two
actually-
tracks together.
Actually, how high you drag the cursor after the fact, that's cool. So you can change and you can have a custom arc for your fades.
What does it mean when when you highlight over it? It was telling you you could hold down Alt, it does something. Hold down Command or Shift. Like if you just hover over it.
If I hover over it,
Over the box.
yeah,
See,
Oh, yeah.
what is?
hold on.
So it gives you shortcuts?
Well, not real.
So it's changing the shape of your fade.
Either one of those, I don't know. Okay.
That was my question, was like how you could change the shape of it the other way. Because the other way when you were doing it, it was like 1 point, 1 point, and it was diagonal. I was wondering if you could do like a third point where it like.
You absolutely could. So if you needed a third point, you could do that. Or if you wanted a curved shape of any shape fade, click on the end transition here and drag it up or down to change the curve and left or right to change the duration.
Your question?
So like, to avoid the clipping, can you increase and decrease on there or no?
Once it's recorded as clipped, you're fucked.
Good
Really
enough.
noted.
Start over.
Good enough.
What do you wait?
So he's asking if there's a way to turn down. Let's for demonstration purposes, let's play the F up distortion. So this is the voiceover that we recorded.
Well, you see that you can get the sound in there, and
So there are repair tools that you could go in and fix this. It is not worth your time and effort to fix that kind of performance mistake. If it is a once in the lifetime interview opportunity, then go in and see if you can fix it. But there are no good solutions to fixing it. It's always better to re-record when you clip like that.
So whatever your microphone,
well, you see that you can get the sound.
so whatever your microphone's plugged into, in this instance, the duet, get the record level right on the duet first, on the record source that you feed in there. That's the first thing you do. Alright, and that should prevent this from happening. Did you have a follow-up
So yeah, before you
question?
start, you want to make sure it's.
You didn't hear the distortion in my voice?
It's just so loud, I can't.
Yeah.
Well, with no volume adjustment. Okay, so there was some question as to the distortion that's there. It's not as terrible as I thought. We can play it and listen to it.
Well, you see that you can get the sound in there.
Okay, so it's losing at the top end. With no volume adjustment, let me move my fade out of the way. It's important when you're mixing that you don't adjust the volume, at least as long as you're working on one consistent part so you can compare. So here, as we play this, adjust your sound beforehand, all the high end is preserved there, right? So it's lower in volume, but everything about that part is recorded as opposed to losing all the high end here.
Is it a way to like when you're doing the crossfades and you have the two different clips, you kind of blending them and start doing your own crossfade, or is it a way to do it without overlapping each other? Like if you take the two clips,
Yeah?
and then you start overlapping it, it starts doing like a standard crossfade.
Uh-huh.
Now, is there a way to kind of avoid that? Like you can just do your edits, like your when you did your fades, without overlapping each clip to make it sync, like to make it flow better.
So if I were constructing one of these projects for Chad's class, I'd have my music on the bottom, I'd have my voiceover maybe in the middle or on the top, and I'd have my sound effects on a separate track.
I'm saying like two songs. Let's say two, because I want to have to flow in. Let's say when you have to go. From
You can have multiple tracks on the same item. So let's say I pull in one of my other songs here. As you add another track to the same
Right.
layer, it'll build in a crossfade as I push it over. So now those two clips
But then
will crossfade.
then having to edit that a little bit. Let's say you don't really like that.
You want to edit the way it
the way
crossfaded?
it cross, because it's going to do like a basic crossfade now. Well, because like the tempos are not really exactly the same. Because like if,
So you can change the shape of the crossfade by dragging up or down. So that'll edit the crossfade.
yeah, okay. I'm figuring out. I was wondering if was that the only way to do it. You have to overlap.
You do have to have them overlap. If you want two items to crossfade, you have to have material from both.
But you don't have to have both songs in the same,
You do not have to have them in the same track. No. You can crossfade from one track to the next.
which is the way you should do it.
That's cleaner. Okay, so crossfades, trimming, blade, importing, recording. The last thing you need to know how to do is exporting out of this, and the rest of it you can explore. File and export, and you want to
And they have effects on that, right?
multi-track mix down, and mostly your entire session is what you're going to do, but you could isolate a specific area or selected clips. So if you do your entire session, then you can pick here and choose it.
So AVR, can you show us how to export a project in this?
Hold on, Chad.
No.
How would you export one from Premiere? Transferable skills.
Oh, you go to file.
You
Then
do.
you go to export.
Yes, you do.
Then, you
This is going to look a little different.
export Adobe.
I can't even read it. Yeah, what is that?
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm like legit what does it say? Thank you. There you go.
Export to
Media multi.
multi-track mix down. Somebody was trying to set me up for failure.
Haters.
Do you apply the effects the same way?
Yeah, you go like export to PDF.
Entire session.
If we want to put an
Entire
effect on the
session.
fly, it's gonna
Yeah.
Sorry. Cool.
So AVR, thank you.
Jorge, question.
So exporting
Call
is
me
basically
out.
bouncing, right?
Exporting is bouncing. Bouncing's a dumb name. Should have always been called exporting.
So, do you apply an effect the same way?
But Apple calls it share, and that's not any better. Do you apply an effect the same way?
I never.
Yes and no. If you can apply an effect in Premiere, Final Cut, or
Example?
After Effects, you can apply it in here. What effect do you want to
So
apply?
if they
Whatever.
wanted to
Just I
have
just
a-
want to see it done so I can know. Cause
So what if they want
I
to put
would
a
like to
flange
see
on
that.
somebody's voice or a reverb or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Distortion,
Or a robot voice
overdrive.
maybe?
That's better for a audition session 2. It is something that I can demonstrate, but now we're getting into workspace layouts and the types of content that you keep on
So we'll
tracks.
keep it simple for this week.
You need to record, edit, and get out right now.
I can take it.
We'll do another one. We will do another one.
We need to, because I don't know this.
Well, I mean, I catch on pretty fast.
Other
because
questions?
of Premiere.
No.
Yeah.
No, none.
So Rob, not
Really? None?
None, we'll text you.
Well, you say you have to do a part two. I have
We will do a part 2.
Alright. I had to come see you. So.
It's great.
Thank you.
I thank you.
Taking your class.
You should.
Thank you, Tom.